I could watch Van Fleet and see what made him nervous. Right now, he seemed very calm, until suddenly he wasn't. Without warning, he spun and sprinted away from the sink, blasting through the rear exit. He was fast. Hollis broke into a run, calling over his shoulder almost cheerfully, "He's our man!" just as Van Fleet hit the safety bar on the door, letting sunshine flood into the dark kitchen. Chapter 2. I could have broken into a run with Brett Hollis, but that would have been counterproductive. Hollis was trying to keep the suspect in sight. I was sure he'd give this guy a good run for his money. But veteran cops don't engage in foot chases. Experience is supposed to teach you something. It taught me to either find a car or use my head. I knew this neighborhood, every block of it. Traffic had picked up on Amsterdam Avenue and no one runs toward a busy street. This guy had a plan. I figured he'd take the alley a block down and move away from any pedestrian traffic. If I were him, I'd head towards St. Nicholas Park. It wasn't that far away. I broke into a light jog. We needed this guy, make no mistake. Van Fleet was the first lead we'd had in Chloe Tumber's homicide, which, despite the different blades used, looked to be connected to those two other cases. All three victims were young women who'd suffered gruesome injuries moments before their deaths, and the three crime scenes looked similar. Messy. Though I couldn't shake the feeling that the mess was deliberate, almost designed for effect. We were still developing a theory as to why. I found the garbage alley I was looking for between two buildings, with its gates, as usual, left wide open. Then I saw an abandoned dog leash. A long one. Maybe 12 feet, and already hooked to a pole behind a pizza place. I took the leash in my hand and stepped to the other side of the alley. 10 seconds later, as if on cue, Van Fleet slid around the corner, ducked a drainage pipe that stuck out into the alley, and picked up the pace again. He never even saw me. As he neared the dog leash, I jerked the line. His feet tangled and he tumbled down into the alley's nasty asphalt, slipping in some pizza grease congealed in the middle of the alley and knocking over an empty 40-ounce beer bottle like it was the last bowling pin in the lane. Before I could even reach Van Fleet, Hollis barreled around the corner. He didn't notice the drainage pipe and ran full speed into it, head first. The impact made the pipe reverberate like a gong and knocked him completely off his feet. I could only imagine what the collision sounded like inside his brain. I cuffed the suspect and looked over at Hollis. His nose was flattened, blood spraying from it like a busted sprinkler attached to his face. "You okay, Brett?" he mumbled. "I'm good," as he struggled to his feet. Blood poured onto his clean white shirt and made dark stains on his power tie. With Van Fleet's hands cuffed behind his back, I helped him up and started to lead him back to the coffee house. I didn't want to embarrass Hollis, so I walked slowly as he tried to keep up. Hollis's wound was so spectacular, a corner bodega owner abandoned the outdoor displays she was stocking and rushed inside for a handful of crumpled paper towels. She forced them on Hollis, who held them to his nose. Hollis wasn't complaining. I had to admit, I liked his toughness. Chapter 3. As soon as we got back to Flat Bread and Butter, we slipped in the same back door we'd all burst out of. I don't think Jesse even realized we'd left the building. I sat Van Fleet down on a stool next to an oven. "Why'd you run when we asked you about Chloe, jerk-off?"
"She's always complaining that I'm too clingy, that she's too busy with law school and her part-time job to have time for me. She said if I didn't give her some space, she'd call the cops on me."
He sighed. "What'd you do when she said that?"
"Nothing. I haven't called her in a week."
He paused and cut his eyes to Hollis and me.
"Okay, maybe I tried to call her a couple of times."
Hollis plopped down on a chair next to a metal desk built into the wall. He didn't look good. I said, "Why don't you go get that checked out, Brett?" "I'm fine." He'd added some paper towels from the kitchen to the ones from the bodega. It was a giant ball of paper slowly turning dark red. I turned back to Billy Van Fleet. 3 days ago, Chloe Tumber made an official complaint against you, said that you'd been stalking her. I don't suppose you can tell me where you were last night, can you?"
"Here,"
he shrugged.
"I was here from 6 p.m. until 1 o'clock, never left. Jesse was here with me the whole time."
I shot a quick look at Hollis, who jumped off his chair and headed to the front of the restaurant to talk to Van Fleet's boss.